Hi there, Traveling Troy here. Welcome back to another video. Well, in today's video, I'm going to talk about 10 things that I would probably do differently in that van if I were to build it today after 18 years of experience living in that van. But first, I've got an update for you. The update is I am going to start making my videos with a format. And the update is I'm going to be doing a format because I just kind of was winging it. So now I'm going to do it based on a format. I think if I have some sort of plan for each video, then I'll be able to crank out more videos because I know step 1, do this, step 2, do that, step 3, do that. So the way the format's going to work is I'll have a short intro like you saw a second ago, just 10 to 30 second intro, and then I'll move on to updates if there are any updates, like life updates or where I'm currently traveling to. Kind of do updates, maybe a minute or two, and then I'll move on to the main content. And you'll always be able to skip, down in the bottom. I'll make sure I do a timestamp so you can skip along and pass things up if you want to. So after the updates will come the main content, and then if that's all you came to see, then you can bolt out. If not, I'll have bonus content after that, maybe 2 or 3 segments after that, like a tip. Like I've got a tip for this video coming up after the main content, and then there'll be I might answer a couple comments from the previous video, or at least highlight a comment or two from the previous video, and then I'll probably do like a final bonus, which will be more like a getting to know Troy bonus content. So yeah, that's the plan, how things are going to work from now on. Hopefully it makes things more smoothly and I can crank out videos quicker. So on to the main content. Okay, so what would I do differently with this build? Well, come on, let's take a look. Well, first and foremost, I think I would focus a lot more on making this build more lightweight. We just kind of used the wood we had available when we built it, and we weren't completely focused on lightweight. Like for instance, this box that we used to store my porta potty and also my desk, I mean, that is some heavy wood. This thing itself is really heavy, and that's just one item in the build. We could have definitely used more lightweight wood on that. I mean, I use the heck out of it. Nightstand, desk, porta potty holder. It's a great thing. But other things like, we've got double poles right there, double 2x4s on this bed. I'm sure. Well, basically, I would be doing things. If I were to do this build over again, figuring out the lightest weight material, like I'd do an aluminum frame on that bed. It's going to be more expensive, but I think in the long run, you're going to have better gas mileage. So the pennies and nickels and dimes, they add up over time. And then also the lighter weight is going to be less wear and tear on your vehicle. So like I have a lot of suspension work that needs to be done now, which I'm not going to do because I'm moving on to a truck camper. But I wonder how much longer things would last if I had, say, 300, 400, or 500 pounds less in here. So another thing I think would be nice is if I would have made these into tilt panels. I've got 3 100-watt panels right now. Normally, in my normal travel, I travel with the temperature. So like I try to find 70 degrees. Like normally I'd be in Colorado right now, but I'm in Houston because I'm working on a truck build along with having this camper van as well, so I can't really leave right now. But so it's hotter than I'm normally used to, and in the mornings I'd like to get my battery charged as quickly as possible and then get this van into the shade, and I think tilt panels would help that out because the fact that it's flat, well, the sun's coming up over here, for instance, well, it's not going to be giving me the most sun rays, when it's like this, when it's this way. So for instance, maybe I have the van parked and maybe these two over here would tilt that way, so that in the mornings I would get the sun coming in the mornings and charge batteries quickly, and then maybe this one would tilt this way for the evenings because you're already topped off unless you're sitting in the shade all day, so you don't need that much sun in the sunset. But that way at least you have some sort of a change there. So that's something I would do for sure. I would make these solar panels into tilt. So when we built the inside of this camper van, we built this bed first. And then after the bed was built, we moved on and built some shelving. Mainly, I've got the power set up down there. We built the power setup, and then we kind of built these shelves here. And then we built the kitchen setup last. So because we were still working on this kitchen setup, we hadn't completed the shelving yet. And we were waiting on finishing this first before we completed that. Well, by the time we finished that, I looked at it like, hey, I've got a 90% finished build here. I'm taking this thing out. And well, we didn't finish the shelving. So something I would have definitely done is finished the shelving. This netting was okay for a while, but look at it, it's just a sagging mess now, and it gets in the way more than it helps. I would definitely like to finish the shelving. So that's something I would have definitely done. Doing differently, yeah. Instead of having an open area like that, I would have done something like this, but a bigger board, and one across here maybe. Set it up to where you can, dive in and get things out. Same thing on the pantry area. I'd put some sort of board here, make it where you dive and hold things in better. Now, all these shirts and things are sticking out, so if you had a board there, you wouldn't have as much room, but that's fine. This is just a mess over here. So another thing, if I were to do it all over again, I think I would get a cargo van without windows. So I've got that one big window there. I've got these two back here. And then nothing on this side. So I would want it all to be like this. And then I would make a small window here, my own. Cut up my own small window and insert it. Because the big windows like that, not only do you have to worry about thieves breaking the windows and trying to get in, but that just brings in, that's where all the heat comes in. These 3 windows, and my front windows too, but that's where all the heat comes in. It'd be so much better if there's a panel here and insulation behind that. That would really keep a lot of the heat out. So I would definitely go with no windows, and I would put my own smaller windows in. So since I do have those windows, I've got to figure out how to cover them and keep the sun out. So what would I do differently? Well, I started out with window coverings on every single window. The problem with that is you have to figure out where you're going to store all those things. And there's some big windows, so those things are big, and the thicker you make them, for insulation, well, that just takes up more room. So like I've got this one up here. I used to have these for every single window. There's that one at the front window, and there's these 2 for the side doors. I used to have those everywhere, and storing them, like I said, is a pain. But now I've got curtains, and then my curtains slide, and this one over here slides as well, and they connect and they can close off, and it keeps a lot of the heat out. And then on the back windows, let me show you that. So here on the back windows, these come together. Okay, these come together. Now they have magnets right here, so normally they would stick to the back doors, but I can also stick them to themselves. And as you can see, so they all stick their magnets. That's much better than a plain window, and it's a lot faster, especially if I have 2 hands. It's a lot faster than having to put a shade up, and you don't have to store it. You just move right out of the way. So I would definitely go with curtains to begin with if I was to do this again. Okay, so another thing I would do in the very beginning is I would do a solid sheet vinyl floor like I have here. I started out with strips. And the problem with strips is they contrast and they expand with the heat, and next thing you know, you've got a crack. And I don't have it here because this is all one sheet. You'll develop a crack, and then dirt will get in there, and you will no doubt spill something eventually. I've spilled plenty of things, and it's nice having a floor like this to where it doesn't go and get caught in the cracks and all the dirt's in there, and then it gets all icky because of the dirt. So I would definitely go with 1 piece of vinyl flooring. Okay, so another thing I would do, I would change. If I'm going to keep this setup with the kitchen here and the refrigerator here, instead of the refrigerator being here on top of the storage, I instead would move this to the bottom and have it on a slide out. Okay, and then that way this would drop down, and from about here and up would allow me to have storage, or it would give me more desk space, but I'd be able to build up higher. I think it'd be better use of space to have from here up as some sort of a storage area, instead of you have to use the refrigerator to lift up. But if it was on a pull out, you could pull it out, lift it up, get what you need, and push it back in out of the way, because this is all unused area above this. I mean, I do put things on there. I got a towel and some socks. It's getting used really well right now. Okay, so my nightstand desk porta potty holder usually sits right here out of the way, so I've got the walkway here. Now this area up against the door, the sliding door, I usually have a water container here and my toolbox, and the toolbox sits there and the water container sits on top. But I would prefer to use this area better than that some way, because only time I've used this door is whenever I'm making a video, really. It usually always stays shut, and I come and go through the driver's door. So I would think to build something over here that's useful to put the space to use, even coming up, part way up the window. I guess another thing that can be done is moving the refrigerator over to here. Maybe it'll fit in that little spot, and that way that allow you to use all that area right there to build something. So I know a lot of people use their sliding doors and they go in and out from that. But if you're not using it all the time, like for instance, maybe build something detachable here, like this desk can be moved, slid out of the way, something else that can be built here that can be slid out of the way or picked up and moved out if you need to, so you can still use it if you need to. But if you're only using this door a couple times a month, man, might as well, that's wasted space right there. So I would definitely do something with this besides nothing. Okay, so another thing I would do different with this build is the bed that I'm sitting on right now. You want as much headspace as you can get. Okay, so like I'm kind of ducked down a little bit to fit in here. Instead of the way we built my bed is we built it on top of the wheel well, but instead of doing that, to gain an extra inch or two, I would lower the bed and build the bed around the wheel well to where the top of the wheel well is your base, basically becomes the base of your bed. That way because we're losing an inch or so by being above it, when we could be solidly aligned with it on the same level as it. So I would definitely build around, like in a U around the wheel well, instead of building on top of it. Okay, so another change I would make, we did something that we thought was pretty cool. We built a power center on top of the wheel well, because that space was going to get wasted anyways. But instead of doing that, the problem is that is on the floor. It's hard to get to, it's hard to see, because I usually stack things in front of it. And also, anytime I'm going anywhere where there's high water, I'm always worried about something getting in the wheel well and just shorting out my whole electrical system. Or let's say the inside of the van flooded, like a water jug spilt over and water started going everywhere and just water got in there. So that scares me. I would definitely, if I was to do this again, raise this thing up to at least the next level and store, food down there or something. Instead, I'd raise it up to where it's like more in the, more in my view, to where I can see it easier. Now we have made changes to help that out. We put put this guy over here, a monitor, battery monitor, so I can see that better, and it's got a little button here to turn the light on. As you can see, we're at 14.13 volts. We're at high. We're getting plenty of sun, but it only shows the current at 0.8 because our battery is completely topped off right now. But yeah, so I would move that up or move it somewhere else, because that is kind of a pain to access. I never access it really. So I guess it's kind of out of the way. It's good, but it's like it could be better. Okay, so another thing to go along with kind of the electrical system is I had
an inverter here. It's just a 200 watt inverter. It died on me. We built it specifically for that. They stopped making it, so we can't fit another one in there. So I ended up putting up one up here, and this is actually my second one of these. So I use that there. Instead of having something like this or my cables like that, I would run wires to each corner of the van, all the corners, and I would have, you know, some USB connections at each corner. That way, no matter where I am in the van, I can plug something in. Instead of having everything right here like this, I mean, I guess it's easy for me to access. That's why I put it here, but it'd be nice to have something at every corner of the van. Okay, so that wraps up my main content and what I would do differently with the van. But let me give you a quick update. So I'm here, weather update. I'm here in Houston, Texas. It is currently 88 degrees at 2:40 p.m. But let's see what my temperature gauge is showing over here. So it's showing 99 outside and 95 inside the van. Now the 95, that's because the 99, that's because the sun is hitting the indicator right on the back door here. But 95 is probably pretty close because it's usually about 10 degrees warmer inside the van compared to outside the van. You know, it's funny whenever you're making a video and you get things interrupt you like this. Okay, my tip for today. Hidden storage. It's your build. You should build it and protect your belongings. Yes, I've got hidden storage in this van. If someone were to break in, they're gonna find the stuff that I don't care as much about, you know, here and there. But my most expensive items, they're stored away, hidden in very hard to find places. So if you're gonna do a build, make sure you're thinking about, I've got a laptop, I've got a phone, I've got jewelry, whatever. You got to think about how much space that's going to take and finding some way to build something with some sort of undetectable hidden doorways maybe. Like for instance, let's say you want to have an emergency fund, like say $1,000. But you don't just want to keep it laying around in your van, you don't want to carry it around with you, but you want to store it somewhere where it's safe. Well, there's a lot of places you can do that. Like one thing, for instance. Okay, so I've got this light up here, and it's on this small little board. Well, if I had this other board, and maybe these screws were fake, okay, and this board just pops down real easy, and inside, tucked in here, is a little Ziploc bag with $1,000 in it, in case, like, you know, you get a flat tire, or you know, you just need some emergency money, or you lose your bank card. You got to have enough gas to get somewhere to get a new bank card. Slip it inside, it just sits in there. You pop this back on, or you can screw it on. This kind of thing is an emergency thing, so you can screw it back on and have it hidden right in there. That's one idea. Another thing that you could do, like my seats, excuse me for a second. Like my seats here, I've got covers on them, okay? Well, you could have a pouch back here. So this is a cover. If you had a pouch, a tuck-in, you could hide something in that tuck-in, and then you put your seat cover over it. How many thieves are coming into someone else's vehicle and like lifting the seat cover up and looking for stuff? Probably not very common. But I don't know if I've seen a lot of videos out there on YouTube. We were robbed, you know, and all our stuff stolen, and you know, I feel for them, but I know for me, every time I park my van, if I'm going on a long hike, like if you saw my Colorado video where I went on a 16-mile hike, I was gone for hours. You know, anyone, they could have taken their sweet time. So you've got to figure out ingenious ways to hide things where people won't be able to find them. But the other thing, and I'm going to make a security video, a van life security video on how to keep your things safe and how to stay safe, basically. If you go on like a long hike, if you're able to store your stuff like in hidden compartments, I would go to like a thrift store or maybe in a pawn shop. Ask them for their broken items, their broken electronics, and you keep that stuff in a little bag. We know you're gonna be gone for a long time. You pull out the broken electronics and lay them out like they would look normal, like maybe a broken laptop or a tablet or something, and store your good stuff in your hidden spots. That way, if they break in and they see, oh, I got an easy snag here, they might not even take time to go looking everywhere, and they get back to, you know, their thievery hiding place, and they find out that it's broken, that you bought it for like $5, you know. Anyways, I'm gonna make a video on that, protecting your van. But okay, so that is my tip. All right, now for a little bit of bonus content. So in my beach videos, you may have seen me playing with one of these things, a hacky sack. Why is a 50-year-old guy playing with a hacky sack? Well, my friends and I, we grew up playing with a hacky sack a lot. I really remember it most in like junior high, middle school, and like before school, we would be like lined up in a little circle and we'd be kicking it back and forth to each other. So that's where I started playing it, and we would always try and make a record how many times we can hit in a row before it fell to the ground. So if you've seen my beach videos, you see me playing with a hacky sack a lot because, well, when you're a solo traveler, you got to figure things to do solo, right? And I can play this by myself, but since I didn't have friends to pass it back, I would see how many I can kick in a row. And my 50+ record right now is 25, but that hacky sack got a hole in it, and I tossed it out. But I just recently bought a pack of 3, so I got new hacky sacks. Not saying that I'm going to be putting this in every video, but yeah, you might see a little bit of hacky sack here and there. Well, this wraps up another Travel and Troy video. I thank you very much for your time watching these videos. I'm not asking any people for money, just your time. Watch my videos, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm happy with that. Thanks again for watching, and look forward to more van and truck videos coming soon.